Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today at Alfa Romeo's Balocco Proving Ground for a first drive with this, the new Alfa Romeo Giulia GTAm. This is the super saloon they're only making 500 of, a limited edition version, and today we're going to take a full look around the production specification before taking it out for a drive on the track and on the road to see what it's all about. Now we've got a lot to check out today, also the original 1965 GTA plus a GTAm, some of the history and many of the components to take a look at that have gone into making this crazy thing. Let's take a look then in detail here at the new Alfa Romeo Giulia GTAm. This car is looking fantastic. The GTAm, the full spec version. We'll talk about the differences between the GTA and the GTAm as well, but we're here at a very historically significant venue. The building right behind is the original workshop of the Auto Delta race team who were responsible for the successes with the GTA and the GTAm back in the 1960s, and we'll take a look at those later. But this is the new car here at Alfa Romeo's Centro Sperimentale, their development test track, where I visited once before a number of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, for the launch of the Giulia Quadrifoglio, but this dials things up a little bit further. So let's run through some of the details, the facts and figures. We've got a 2.9 litre twin turbocharged V6 up front, making 540 horsepower, up from the 510 in the Quadrifoglio with the same 600 newton meters of torque. It sends all of the power to the rear wheels through an 8-speed ZF automatic gearbox, but is obviously significantly lighter with many of the weight savings, carbon fibre panels, new wheels. It's running on Sport Cup 2 tyres. Inside with the GTAm, the rear seats have been deleted. We've got buckets, harnesses and a roll cage, which in a saloon sedan format is always just something so unbelievably epic, and the fact that this exists is just awesome. As you look around the front, you can see that it is significantly wider. The arches are beefed out. These new carbon fibre panels for the wings, for the bonnet, we'll open that up shortly as well. Then around at the front, this is the production version. A few things have changed slightly from the concept that we saw before, but it maintains this extendable front splitter, the carbon fibre splitter that you can pull out an additional 4 centimetres for driving on the track. We've got the traditional grille, but with more openings for cooling, more carbon fibre. The bumper is carbon as well, and then all of these intakes in different shapes as you start to look around. We've got a new 20-inch wheel. You can see the way it's effectively been cut out to save as much weight by taking away as much material as they possibly could. We've got the Sauber engineering design down here, because to make this car, Alfa Romeo have worked with some pretty big partners, talking the likes of a Krapovich for the exhaust. And if you purchase a GTAm, one of the 500 cars which will be distributed between GTAs and GTAMs, depending on customer preferences, they actually come with a number of significant items. For example, all cars come with a Goodwill matched car cover, they all come with a Bell helmet, and if you have the GTAm, it also comes with an Alpine Stars race suit as well. Now inside, come and have a look at this. It is an incredible thing. This car, being the M, has the bucket seats looking glorious, the Seatbelt harnesses, and in the rear you can see that fixed cage. Gone are the rear seats in favour of the track prowess that this will offer. It even has the storage cubbies just there for the Bell helmets to sit behind the driver and passenger. So the GTA, the non-M, which stands for Gran Turismo Alleggerita, is effectively the car dialed up already, the carbon rear arches. It has a lip spoiler as opposed to this much bigger spoiler, and it doesn't have the extended splitter at the front. The M, the Modificato, there's a bit of a backstory as well behind them, and the names is this particular version, the 2-seat version, the even more extreme, even more hardcore version of the car. Now I think we should step on board, take a little listen to the Krapovich exhaust as we start it up, because very soon there's going to be time to go out onto the track. Start button just here. Sounds good. Pop it up into race very quickly, because we're going to go out and drive this, have a bit of fun, see what it's all about, but there's plenty more to show you when we come back in as well. Unfortunately, it has just started to drizzle, but we are here in the GTAm then, about to take it on out. I've done a few sighting laps, but it's getting a little bit slippy. Now, if you turn it between normal and dynamic mode, the difference it makes is huge. Listen to this. In normal, very quiet, up into dynamic. That's more what we're talking about. We might go up into race. Now, ESP and traction control is all linked to your different driving modes, so there's a little bit of slip in dynamic. Everything goes off when you go up into race, but let's pop it into gear. Let's pop it into manual, handbrake off, and let's go drive and see what it's all about. This instantly feels a little bit more sprightly than driving in the Quadrifoglio, and the sound, we're just halfway through the rev range. Oh yes, this sounds so good. So we need to just take it a little bit easily, warm up to the occasion. We've got a series of chicanes out for us at the moment here on Balocco. I love this. Remember, the Giulia Quadrifoglio was effectively the launch of the new Giulia, starting with the very sporty version to begin with, having borrowed a lot of expertise from the experts that were formerly at Ferrari to make a car that has so much character to it, and you can instantly feel that in this at the moment. Drop down to second gear, and just being conscious as we get the tyres a little bit warm again. That kick as well. That's a cool upshift kick. About 200 kilometers an hour here. It blinks the hazards when you're firm on the brakes. Often an Italian thing. We've got a decent-ish amount of grip, despite the fact that there's rainfall falling on the window. Downshifts are fantastic. Downshifts have an amazing sound to them, this instantaneous rasp, and despite the fact that it's a traditional auto as opposed to a dual clutch, they're very, very quick, very lively. This is a car that just instantly has character. It's instantly alive, it's exciting. I'm enjoying the shifts an awful lot. Yeah, not much slip to have in dynamic. Throttles you back a lot, that's what race mode is for. Concentrating a little bit here. It feels like more than 540 horsepower, I'm not gonna lie. It feels like more power than that. Foot down and away we go. Up to about 7,000 RPM. 200 Ks back on the brakes. You can turn off the hazards blinking, by the way, that's the default setting. Just ride it a little bit gently through here, don't want to slide around on some curves, and they also, by the way, have some of these corners like this one, modelled off the bus stop at Spa. Interestingly, how little it will let you play around when you have it in dynamic. So let's turn it up into race. There we go, that stiffens the suspension. A number of things change when you go between the modes: suspension, steering feel, response. So it'll all now be a little bit more lively, probably a little bit more slidey as well. I like the display I have now on the dashboard with the shift indicators. Being careful with the brakes, considering the sketchiness of these conditions at the moment, and also aware now with ESC off, we might be a little bit more slidey, and we want to keep it on the tarmac today. This has a bit of supercar flair to it, that kind of mega excitement, drama, liveliness, and a surprising amount of agility. Now, when the Giulia arrived, it was very focused on weight savings, and you can feel that. This car, for what it is, for the size of it, is very, very point and shoot. Very agile on its feet. Wide track. And through the tunnels sounds awesome as well, that we have dotted around this loop. Carbon ceramic brakes, of course, for all the stopping power. Trail brake it through to the bus stop-esque corner, the tight one. And that's what it does brilliantly. This is an absolute riot. This is what I hoped the GTAm would be like. Just a complete laugh to drive. The sound is great, the feel of it, the communication of it. On track, this is just awesome. It feels rigid, but it feels compliant, and it feels like you can really drive it and push on with it without too much fear. It's not too much of a wild monster to tame and to drive and to really push on with, as you can see here. I am loving this. Truth is, at this moment, I kind of want one. Wow! With the weather quickly deteriorating, I think it is time to cool this down and take it back in. But it's a car that on paper makes basically no sense. Being a normal world saloon car with no rear seats, taking away a lot of the practicality. Being this, I think we could say, in your face, both visually and in terms of the sound, but yet it carries so much emotion, and sometimes making those inconveniences just wakes it up and makes it more lively. And that's exactly what Alfa Romeo have done with this. The engineers working on this must have had an absolute blast when they were basically saying to themselves, what can we do to put a massive smile on the face of everybody who drives one? Because that is what this does. It's a special thing in a world where often cars, especially cars like this, are becoming, I would say, more diluted and less about the passion, more about the daily practicality and being easy to live with. But this is a car that you just want to grab it by the reins, head out and absolutely chuck it around a circuit, even if, like I say, it doesn't make sense to do that. Even if that is totally illogical. Let's turn it down back into dynamic just to chill for the moment. Even in automatic, the auto gearbox works brilliantly. It's very clever. It knows what you want to do when you're popping it into, well, when you just drive, let's say, you know, in terms of kick down and jumping up gears. But this has just been an awesome, awesome amount of fun on the track. I can't quite believe how much fun, to be honest. What a car. A little bit of understeer in the wet, obviously. I'm going to manually upshift, so I don't want to be running into the red line as we head back in now then. You can tell from my response, right, that I have absolutely, absolutely loved this. It has been completely and totally awesome. Oh, what a thing. What an awesome, awesome thing. Back here in the pit lane, you can see some of the differences then between the GTAm and the regular GTA, the car without the modificato package. So this is the standard ducktail spoiler almost sitting on the boot lid, as opposed to the much larger one that is worn by the GTAm. The car on the inside has a few differences as well. You'll spot we've got the standard seats as known from the Quadrifoglio with the GTA embroideries, and of course also with the rear seats found in here. That's quite cool with the green seat belts that it actually has and the striping to match. And then around the front, the GTA doesn't have that extended splitter. It still has the carbon fibre you can see down there at the lower edges, but not quite the same as the GTAm package. So I expect many customers will go for the upgrade to this. It just suits the car's character. It's part, I think, of what it's all about, to be like this, with the crazy wing, the full spec. Just before heading out for a drive on the road, I'm back over at the original Auto Delta building after experiencing this on the track, but let's take a very quick look at what's inside and the cars that we have here, including the 1965 Giulia Sprint GTA. GTA standing for Gran Turismo Alleggerita, the lightweight racing version, you could say. They actually introduced the GTAm, AM being America, to go racing Gran Turismo America, as you can imagine, which then later adopted the acronym being Modificato. You can see how much wider this car is, with the arches, the cage inside, and had huge success racing back at the time, hence the inspiration now for the GTA and GTAm. But let's come inside, because here we can see a number of the components that have gone into this car. For example, the bucket seat, which does actually have a series of different adjustments in terms of the rake, the angle, the positioning, the height. You can shuffle it around. You've got the belts set up in there at the moment. The cage, slightly different from the concept, it's a bit thicker, slightly different position as well, but obviously giving the car rigidity as well as support and holding the harnesses. We've got some examples of the calipers and the gigantic carbon ceramic brake discs, which give all of that stopping power. Here we've got the new centre lock mechanism that's been developed for the car, for the centre lock wheels, the full carbon fibre spoiler with this central section that adjusts. You can have it in the various different positions depending on the purposes and how it's going to be driven. And then the front splitter as well that I said pulls out by, as you can see here, the 4 centimetres. So it's already 4 centimetres further forward than on the Giulia Quadrifoglio to begin with, but by pulling this out, just gives you even more downforce to match the rear spoiler being up into the more raised position as well. And just for fun, for racetrack use only, no step. I love that it has that, just the small details. And of course, that 20-inch wheel with the Michelin Sport Cup 2 tyres, 285 at the rear, 265 at the front, so not the widest in the world, but very cool ways to see some of these components and what goes into it exactly. But for now, hopefully without it raining on us again, let's head out for a quick run on the roads to experience this and what it's like on normal tarmac. Road loop time. So let's get this started. We've got mosquitoes everywhere at the moment. Go away, we don't want you to come along for the ride with me. So we're in normal into drive. This is a very, very cool place to be, it has to be said. You hear a lot in here. Obviously the lightweight nature of it, reduction of sound deadening, and very kind of twitchy feel, very sensitive pedals, very sensitive steering, but these are things that make a car lively and exciting. So this is part of its character and what it's all about. So let's head out in normal. Even in here, you feel that it's more ready to go, ready to pounce, ready to get on the move, just from how instantly responsive it is to the throttle pedal. But we'll head out from Balocco and go see what it's like down some local roads. Unfortunately for me, the weather is doing everything I would like it not to be doing today. Come to Italy and drive the Alfa Romeo GTAm and this is what you get. Nonetheless, let's just talk about this a little bit, and first responses, first experiences, first reaction to what it's like then driving along the road. And I have to say, considering how dynamic it is, it actually rides here pretty nicely as well. We're in normal at the moment, so the suspension softens up, the steering gets a little bit less weighted as well, and everything is a little bit calmer and quieter. The exhaust valves being linked to the different driving modes. As soon as you go up into dynamic, you can hear it dropping some gears, getting a little bit louder, and actually instantly feel how much heavier the steering is as well. And this is probably how I would choose to drive it, but this car has so much, as I said when on the track, character to it. You pop it into manual, the shift paddles are a delight. The feel to them, they're fixed to the column. Perhaps I might like them to be moving with the steering wheel. But the response of the gearbox, and then that kind of rasp you get out of it, just works. This is a car that, like I said, shouldn't make sense, but really and truly, from a purist driving point of view, it absolutely does. For me, it would 100% have to be the GTAm. It needs to be this full crazy specification, even though driving and in terms of the dynamics, the regular GTA is not exactly far off. That shift noise, I don't know how really to describe it, but as we twist and turn up the road here, it's just cool. It's just a really, really, really cool thing. There is, however, one significant drawback that we haven't yet discussed about this, and that's the price tag. The price of this car is very, very, very high. In fact, regardless of where it's to be delivered, let's say it's to the UK even, you actually order it in euros. Just to pause for a moment. So you have to pay for the car in euros, and we're talking in the 170,000s for the GTA and 5,000 for the GTAm. Now that is big, big, big money. At the moment, about £150,000. and that gets you into supercars. That's properly up there in supercar territory, the likes of a used McLaren 720S, or not far off, something like a Ferrari Roma. It's a lot of money, but it's a limited edition cool thing, and it's one of the last of these kind of things probably that will ever really exist, because clearly the world is moving away from having fun, sadly, and that makes it something so special. So I'm a bit torn personally, because I love it, but I do struggle with the price tag. I struggle a lot with the price tag when you consider that's double an M3, or yeah, or maybe even more than. Yeah, it's big money, but you get something that's so unique as a result. You can tell I'm kind of flip-flopping backwards and forwards, yo-yoing as to what I make of it, but it's full of character and it's special. There's no other way to kind of look at that. It's weird. I'm lost on the small back roads around here. The only problem with this, and I say problem figuratively speaking, is that the car is so lively, it just makes you want to step on it all the time. Just to get your foot buried into the floor and enjoy it and push on hard. And obviously public roads in these conditions need to kind of dial it back, rein it in just a little bit from going too crazy, but still, even on the road, it's a great car. I can see why perhaps the price tag is asked, because it's a unique proposition. Something this sporty, that is this much character. I mean, we've had the M3 CS of the previous generation. Obviously there are plenty of hardcore Mercs, AMGs, that fulfill the same kind of purpose. It's just really cool. It's just really cool. There's no other way of looking at it. Back at base then, and hiding out of the rain, a number of the cars around at the moment, but I want to show you this particular GTAm, because this is the specification that I would choose for it. Montreal green with the yellow calipers against the black wheels, the green cage as well in the rear, and have a look in the front here with the tricolore style stitching, the white and green around the door cards, the red for the embroidery. You can have black belts as opposed to the red belts with the yellow say belt logos on them also. And then back here, as I said, that green cage looks fantastic. I love this. Having those painted, it's a really nice detail. Of course, GTAm with the full wing, the full spec. Let's come and take a look though at the engine bay, open that up and have a look at the twin turbo V6. So down here, give that a pull and come round. It is very light. As I said, lots of carbon fibre for the body panels and the various components. We've got the catch. This weighs, yeah, next to nothing. And then we've got our 540 horsepower, 600 newton meter, 2.9 litre twin turbocharged V6. This car will do the 0 to 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometre per hour sprint, as I said, in 3.6 seconds to the top speed of 300 kilometres an hour. That's 186 miles an hour, whether it's the GTAm or the normal GTA. But you can see lots and lots of this lovely exposed carbon fibre, and you can see what's gone into the price tag of this overall. Close that back down. This colour is insane. Look at this. Really incredible. Cloverleaf on the side, the Auto Delta badging as well, Sauber Engineering badging. Interesting thing back here, by the way, you might be wondering why it has a traditional antenna as opposed to a shark fin. It's all to do with saving weight. By not having to have the technical side, all of the wiring going through the glass that would be the rear window, this is a kilo or so lighter overall. This is, of course, plexiglass. You can press it in, as opposed to this window, which is actually a glass panel for safety reasons, legislation reasons. This is plastic, you can't open it. That is a fixed window, obviously no passengers in the rear, but no ability to open this, just the Alcantara door cards, and even a fiberglass rear shelf here as well. GTAm embroidery back there. I'll show you in the luggage space back here, because it also has the strengthening cage. You can see through the back, the luggage nets to make sure nothing flies forward and could potentially damage that fiberglass that you have in the back, but still a degree of practicality. You lose a little bit, but that triangular wedge is never all that useful anyway. Some storage bins, some luggage nets, first aid kit, that kind of thing, warning triangle in the back, and then a wing that you almost slightly worry might end up hitting the rear window, but thankfully the design means that doesn't happen. Even that's very light. The whole car is very light. Back here, a lovely detail as well on the Akrapovic exhaust. If I just turn on the torch, is to have the Scorpion logo inside the exhaust there as well, which is really quite nice, the Akrapovic logo on the back, as you can see it. This colour, it's just brilliant. So the three colours, the green, white and red, the Montreal green, the trophy white and the GTA red, as we've been driving it as well. All sorts of photo shoots and different things going on at the moment. Let me take a step back inside, show you one or two more things about the car on the interior in terms of the controls, the infotainment. That one just rolls on by. Inside here, manual seats, so slide it backwards, button on the steering wheel to start it. Fires up. You've got this system which launched with the Giulia, the nice, neat integration that you have of the system into the dashboard, part of this swooping nature on the steering wheel, the start-stop button, your cruise control, your media controls, digital display in front of you which changes as you go through the different driving modes. If you go up into race, you get this information notice, obviously about things being a little bit less willing to help you in terms of assistance. You get the race displayed down below. You can, by the way, put it into the bumpy road mode button, soft suspension effectively, when you're in different modes. If you want to make it even softer, I didn't need to make use of that out on the road. More carbon around here, the satin carbon finish for the dashboard trim. The cars are numbered, so this one is 476 out of 500. The one I was driving earlier was 265, which was quite fun. 265, which was for February 1965, when that old GTA was originally launched. You've got the tiles inside here that you can scroll through, all sorts of different displays. You can bring up the various driving information displays. It's all set in Italian at the moment, and configure all of that, which I had a look at when I drove the Giulia Quadrifoglio originally. But basically, that just sounds really, really quite cool. This car is actually up to temperature, so we can just spin it around very quickly. Yeah, nice. Very, very nice. Right. Let me turn that off then for the moment. A very cool thing. Key for the car just here. Get a feel for what that's like. All round, what a thing to drive here today at Balocco with Alfa Romeo. This was a fantastic experience, a brilliantly enjoyable car, and you can kind of see why it carries the price tag it does when you consider some of the other things that have approached this space in the past, because this is the ultimate. This is something that we're not going to see very much more of going forwards. Limited series, 500 cars, carbon panels, just all around very, very, very cool. That's it for now though. There's a car revving away in the background. Thanks for watching, guys. Thank you very much to Alfa Romeo for the opportunity to come down today. Just unfortunate that the rain decided to come along as well. That's it for now though. Thanks again, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.